Even in Gemara, I've seen people hide behind names. They like, the Rashba says this, and it's great to know the Rashba Tva. I always like asking the Prophet, and what do you see? What do you see here? What's being said to you? Stop getting caught behind names. Who said what? And learn and understand and say your own opinion and see what hits you. So there's definitely an art of ignoring who says things. There's such an art. And yet it matters who says things. There's a statement, it's called, people think it's a chazal. I don't believe there's such a chazal, but there's psukim in Mishlei that give over this idea. I once counted, I like Mishlei a lot, I once counted 4 psukim. That give over this idea. There's a statement, people think it's a chazal. I don't think there's such a chazal. Dvarim hayotzim min halev nichnasim al halev. Word that comes from the heart enters the heart. Now there's no such chazal, dvarim, but there are psukim in Mishnah. I once held that there were 4 psukim that said this idea. I couldn't show you those psukim now. We'd have to look through Mishlei. It is for sure in Mishlei, and I once held there were 4 psukim that said this idea that words that emanate from the heart go into the heart, which really says 2 people could say the same idea, and 1 person, it won't mean anything to you because it didn't come from a deep place, and the second one says it, it's like, whoa, because it came from a deep place. Words that come from the heart, into the heart. I'm just showing that it matters who said it then. Then it's not just the statement, it matters who said it. If they felt it deeply, were present by what they were saying, it goes in. There's certain divrei Torah that a certain person says that it strikes and it hits in a very deep way, specifically for who says it. I'm telling you this because I want to share something from the Lubavitcher Rebbe that struck me deeper because he was the one who said it, and I'm going to explain why. I'm going to share something this after this Erev Shabbos Kodesh. I want to share some with the guys, but I want to say I'm quoting the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and specifically because he said it, if I would have heard the verse from somebody else, he said it, and I'm going to explain why, Mo. It hit me very importantly, and I want to share what he said and explain why it hit me that he's the one who said it. There's a Rashi in Parshas Vayakhel that we have to learn, and he had an angle on the Rashi that's unusual, Yosef. The Rashi in Vayakhel, it speaks about, the Pasuk describes the gift of the Nesiim, the leaders of Klal Yisrael. The Nesiim, it says, when it's describing the donations, in Vayakhel it says, Vanesiyim eviu es avnei hashoyim. The Shayam stones that were on the Kohen Gadol, who donated more to those stones? The Nesiyim. Every Shevet had a Nasi, had a leader of the Shevet, and the 12 leaders of Am Yisrael, the leader of each Shevet, brought the Avnei Shayim and the Avnei Meluim la'ephod v'la'choshen, for the Kohen Gadol's apron and for his breastplate. The one who brought those precious stones, the Avnei Shayim and the Avnei Meluyim, were the Nesiyim. Rashi on that pasuk tells us the following medrash. Amar Reb Nassan. He quotes Reb Nassan. It's in Perek Lamed Hey Pasuk Koyach. The pasuk before Koyach, Pasuk Chav Zayin. It's Pasuk Chav Zayin. And Pasuk Chav Zayin, Perek Lamed Hey, Rashi says as follows, Amar Reb Nassan. Reb Nassan says, Ma ro nisiyim le'esnade b'chanuka samizbeach tchila. Later on, when there was donations to the Mizbeach, the Nesiyim brought the first gifts. Nice to see you, Gersh. Welcome home, Gersh. Welcome home. Gersh, I want to tell you something. Gersh called me. I was called for a shlichus, Gersh. Could he come to yeshiva? I want to tell you, you never, ever, ever have to ask to come home. Nobody has to ever call. Never. Welcome home.
Thank you, Rabbi.
There's no such thing. Ein davar kazeh. A guy in yeshiva, his parents were unfortunately divorced, and he described to me that he has to ask Rishus each house at a good week. There's no such thing, my friends. Chas v'shalom, no such thing. Kids are welcome home. There's no ein davar kazeh. Kid, that's what it means that you share a house with your children. They never have to ask, is it a good week? I can come home. Ein davar kazeh. Yeshiva is v'shinantam levanecha. Nobody has to ask. No such thing. And davar. We have a service we try to provide. I asked Morty to help find beds at Tzidkus. Morty helps find. Nobody has to ask rishos. There's no such thing. Welcome home. It means a lot that you came home. Thank you, Gersh. So it says like this. So Reb Nosson asked, by the Chanukas HaMizbeach, the Nesiim gave first. Chanukas HaMishkan, here by the gifts for the Mishkan, Lo Yisnavdu B'tchila, they did not give the first gifts. They're the last ones. The Psukim, when it describes the donations, the Nesiim gave the last gifts. So Reb Nosson says, why is this? They changed their ways. In the gifts to the Mishkan, the Nesiim were last. In the gifts to the Mizbeach, the Nesiim gave first. Elakach Amru Nesiim. Says Reb Nosson, the Nesiim made the following cheshbon. By the donations to the Mishkan, the Nesiim said, Yisnadvu tzibur mashem yisnadvim. Let the tzibur give whatever they give. They said that tzibur, they were collecting donations for the Mishkan. They're collecting donations to the Mishkan. Said the Nesiim, let Am Yisrael give whatever they give. Yisnadvu tzibur mashem yisnadvim. The congregation, Klal Yisrael, will give what they give, and what they leave out, anu mashlimim, I say, will complete. Klal Yisrael will give whatever they give, and will complete the task. We'll give at the end. That's what the Nesiim said. Kivan sheshlimu tzibur as hakoyol, the tzibur brought everything. Shenemar v'amalocha hisadayim. The problem is Klal Yisrael wasn't missing anything. Amru Nesiim, the Nesiim said, Ma'aleinu lasais, what should we do? Now, Be'emes, the Lubavitch Rebbe has a bomb kasha. This is it's such a sophisticated kasha, Zach. He has I love this kasha. Everybody listen to this kasha. This, right, Russ? I didn't say last night. I didn't go into the nitty gritty of Rashi for whatever reason, but he asks a bomb kasha. The Nesiim. Let's get the scenario here. Klal Yisrael, we need donations for the Mishkan. We're building stuff, and we don't have the material. So Moshe Rabbeinu says on behalf of Hashem, if everybody can please donate material. He described the materials we need for the Mishkan. If you can please donate. Now the Nesiim, the leaders, made a cheshbon. The leaders said, listen, instead of us giving donations, let's wait for Klal Yisrael to do what they do. And then, when Klal Yisrael does what they does, we'll bring the rest. We'll do the rest. It's a smart idea. It makes a lot of sense. Klal Yisrael ends up bringing everything. And the Nesiim say at the end, hey, ma'aleinu lasais, what are we supposed to do? Now, ask the Rebbe, what's their kasha? Excellent, everything was brought. What's the problem? What's the problem? Ma'aleinu lasais, what are we supposed to do? What do you mean? Everything was brought. Excellent. So you don't have to do. What's the problem? What's the Nesiim saying? Why is there a problem here? Ma'aleinu lasais. Hey, what are we supposed to do? Ma'aleinu lasais. What's the activity we're supposed to do? He was even medayik. The Rebbe is actually medayik. This is a superb diyak. Why does it say ma'aleinu lasais? What should we do? It should say ma'aleinu to bring. What should we bring? It's interesting, the Lashon, the Rebbe was medayik, ma'aleinu lasais. Nobody did anything. They brought stuff. They gave stuff. It should say ma'aleinu lahavi. What should we give? They didn't say what should we give. What should we do? Ma'aleinu lasais. What's our role here? Ma'aleinu, what's our role? Klal Yisrael just brings everything. And the Nesiim said, an our role, ma'aleinu lasais. What do we do? Then it says they brought Avnei Shayam. There were things Klal Yisrael couldn't access. Chazal teach us that Avnei Shayam came from Shemayim. So the angels, it says Hanasiyim, they got it from the clouds. In an Eifen, Shaloi Kederech HaTeva, they got Avnei Shayim. You could see they weren't so happy. That was a nace. It wasn't, they didn't give up something of theirs. Therefore, they gave Chanukas Mizbeach Tefillah. By the Mizbeach, they gave first. And ends Rashi, sadly, Lefi Shenis Atzlu, since they were lazy, Mitchila, originally, Chasarta Ois Mishmam, they lose the Yud in their name, Vanesiyim Ksiv, spelled without a Yud, since they delayed in giving gifts. They waited for Klai, so they lost the Yud of their name. They weren't true to their name, they lost the Yud. The question here is, anybody learns this Rashi, is what was the cheshbon of the Nesiyim, what's wrong with their cheshbon, what happened here? The Nesiyim seemed, it's very pragmatic. Pragmatic means practical. Their cheshbon seems very pragmatic, very nice cheshbon. They're the leader of Klal Yisrael. We need a certain amount. Klal Yisrael, you give, and we'll give the rest. What's wrong? So many talk about this Rashi. I never heard somebody say the Lubavitcher Rebbe's Pshat, and because he said it, it meant extra to me. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you what he said, and I'm going to tell you why it meant a lot that he's the one who said this mo. What was the Nesiyim's cheshbon? What was wrong with their cheshbon? It doesn't seem so bad. The Nesiyim make a very practical cheshbon, very pragmatic cheshbon. Klal Yisrael, you give the donations you can give. And the Nesiyim said, we'll give the rest. Like, cool. Let's say we're building something in yeshiva. Say, guys, you do the thing. Right? With Snicky, all the Rebbeim have a Rebbe's meeting. So let the guys do what they could do. Picture we want to set up the Beis Medrash for some event. So Rabbi Brownstein will say to the Rebbeim, listen, let the guys do as best as they can, and then we'll finish the job. Seems like a very good idea. And then shucks, Klal Yisrael does everything, and then it seems, where's our role? Ma leinu lases. What are we supposed to do? They learned some lesson. What was their mistake, and what was the answer? So I've heard pshatim. I never heard somebody say it like the Rebbe. The Rebbe said pshat, Lubavitcher Rebbe, that people in positions of teaching, there's a power here. They're Nesiyim, they're running Klal Yisrael. He said there's a danger that you could live vicariously. He said that here Am Yisrael's bringing what, obviously originally they have, one second, they also have to bring. They also have Avodas Hashem. And in some way they thought, and there is such, it's based on a truth. There's a statement of Chazal, Gadol ha'me'usa yosim min ha'osa. It's better to get people to do mitzvahs than to do mitzvahs. So a certain sense that I'm like the facilitator. I'm the facilitator of it. They're the Rebbe of it. And says the Rebbe, the mistake is you have your own avodah. It's very nice. You're encouraging Am Yisrael. Very, very nice. But don't let that patter your own avodah pnimis. Don't let that patter your Hashem wants you to. And somehow the Rebbe says the mistake is they said that Tzibur will give what they give. And he says that even when they said that, let's say that Tzibur gives everything, in a sense they thought that they'll be yaitze their own idealism, their own service of Hashem, by their role of encouraging the tzibur. But it's interesting, when the tzibur did it all, there was a recognition on themselves. They said on themselves, Amru Nesiyim Aleinu Lasais, what about our Avodah? It occurred to them that there was a chsaron in their own Avodah. And it was very nice, they encouraged Klal Yisrael, and Gadol ha'me'usa is true, but you didn't get involved enough. What about your gift? What about your doing? They're a little pattered from getting others to do. Now, why did I love that the Rebbe said this? And the Rebbe said they did shuv on this. They lost an Eis Mishmam. They lost a letter from their names because there was a degree that they themselves weren't involved enough in getting others to do. They forgot their own involvement. You could hear it being a very, not just tempting, a very easy mistake. There's a sense of fulfillment. Others are doing it. And you even facilitated and allowed others to do it and encouraged others to do it. But you didn't do it yourself. You didn't give yourself, and they lost the letter of their name in this mistake. Michal, I found it beautiful, the Rebbe said this. Because if somebody would say this who wasn't somebody who taught Achrayus, Zach, it wouldn't move me so much. This is like, okay, don't rely, others are doing, you do. So if somebody said this who didn't teach Achrayus, the Rebbe was a Metzias who begged Yidden to care for other Yidden. He himself was given to Klal Yisrael, and why the Rebbe never took vacations, never took vacation. It's famous. I'm not saying you should imitate this. He never took vacation. 365 days a year, he was at his post. He spent hundreds of hours, thousands, meeting Yidden, encouraging Yidden. He was given to Am Yisrael. Crazy, given over to our people. And his Hasidim, he taught, move to crazy places, be there for Yidden. And he sent Hasidim, their Lubavitch Hasidim, in every crazy place on earth that doing kiruv. So the man who taught Am Yisrael to live for the Zulas, who was all about live for the next person, this is the one I want to hear this word from. Morty, if somebody else says this word, that be careful in giving to others, that make sure you have your own contribution and don't neglect what you're supposed to give. Somebody else said, I would almost be skeptical. Okay, you just don't realize how important it is to give. But the Rebbe, who was a mitzius of getting people to give to others, who taught his Hasidim to be all about others, the Rebbe here demanded and said the mistake of the Nesiim. He wanted us all to be the Nesiim, to encourage others to perform, but he said never do that when you're not giving also. Don't, you know what I've seen? Have you ever seen this? I'm just using the visual. Rebbeim are running a minyan, and they're walking around like taking attendance, and you think to yourself, are you davening? You're like making sure. Now, the Rebbe may have davened before, great, but maybe he didn't daven before, and the mistake of the Rebbe is very innocent. He looks at, I'm getting the tzibur to daven, but it's missing a letter of your name. Where are you? Where are you? You also are wanted here. The Rebbe said that the mistake of the Nesiim is they got Klal Yisrael to give, but they didn't give. Their avodah was missing over here. They said, let the tzibur give what they give. And what about you? It's chaser ois mishmam. Hashem wants you too. And it's very nice you're facilitating others, and it has value, and it's greater in a way than doing yourself. But it doesn't mean not to do yourself. But don't settle. It's a big zach. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't be an Isa. Getting others to do a mitzvah is wonderful. Make sure you're doing it also. To me, the picture of a Rebbe walking around making sure the Chevra is davening nicely is mamish the Nesiim's mistake. It's pretty innocent. He's getting people to daven. Daven yourself. Hashem wants you too. He wants you too. Don't neglect your own. The Nesiim got everybody to give, and then they said, hey, ma aleinu las, what about my avodah? They were yair, they didn't give anything, and it was neglected, their own avodah. That's what the Rebbe said here, specifically that he who encouraged so many to be Nesiim, to care about others, but he pointed this out and said, make sure your own tefillah, your own Torah, your own avodah is not neglected, certainly getting others and encouraging others, but not forgetting Hashem wants the person himself. Of course, encouraging us, of course with thoughts on others, but making sure they're giving as well. So here, that's what, in the delaying in this, Atzlus from giving had a shirish. In some way they took it, but my role is to get others, but your role is to give too. And the Rebbe warned this of himself, of his Hasidim. Get others to give, be an impetus, but make sure you're giving also. Make sure you're serving also. Make sure your avodah is represented and presented as well. Interesting, right, Zach? He says more. He says why somebody would do this way, what the shirish of this would be, what the root of this would be. He does speak out more. it's very interesting to me, and I want to just say in Pshat, moving away from the Rebbe for a minute, Michal, in Pshat's very interesting. The Nesiim brought something. They gave the Avnei Shoyim and Avnei Maluyim. They gave something. So what's this whole Rashi? Reb Nassim says the Nesiim felt so bad they had nothing to give. They did give. What's the Rashi? They gave very precious stones. They did give. Rashi describes a punishment. They lose a letter of their name. And the Pshat L'chayra is that what they gave didn't cost them anything. They actually found it. Hashem, they were tzaddikim and they had good machshavas too. Hashem was mezakeh them to find these stones ba'ofen nes. That's why it even says without the yud, Anasiya means the clouds. Without the yud, there was a nes that they were able to give it. It wasn't from themselves. Which is a cool irony here. They actually gave the most. This is the most expensive things given, and it was given by the Nesiim. And yet it's called the big Aveira. It's called, I should say big, it's called a fault that they didn't give. The Nesiim felt they didn't give up something. Yeah, we found something, we were necessary, but we didn't give up something from ourselves. It's a very, I remember I had a friend who was talking about this in Eretz Yisrael. His parents gave him a lot of money. Baruch Hashem, they were people of fine means. And he says, when I give stuck like aniyim go around, I never lose anything. I give a shekel, I call my parents, could I have more money? So he said, I never feel like I'm giving anything. I have 100 shekel, I call my parents. My parents gave. So he started doing this, friend of mine, he started budgeting an amount for food. And this is what he would spend on food. And when he gave 2 shekel, then there was another French fry he couldn't buy. Another. If he gave 5 shekel, that was another falafel that was off his cheshbon. He wanted to give to the anim. He wanted to be attached to what he was giving. It reminds me a lot here. The Nesiim end up giving very expensive stuff, but they didn't part with anything. They didn't lose anything. It was what they founded, and that was an einish. The rest of Am Yisrael who gave cheaper things, but they gave up. I'm not taking here, I'm giving it to you. So I'm taking from me and giving to you. The Nesiim, what they gave, there was no loss. They found B'nai, Hashem made them find Avnei Shayim, and they were able to give crazy stuff. There's something very cool lesson in that you could give much, much more, but it wasn't given from self. It didn't have that aspect of giving from self, of a certain parting from something. So that was already chasser here. Hagam, they gave crazy expensive stuff, like ridiculously expensive, but it wasn't as precious to Hashem. It wasn't like taking a piece of self and here, I want to give this piece of self to you. It wasn't like that. So that's the Nesiim. They end up giving a lot, but it's considered chaserais mishmam because what they gave wasn't a piece of themselves. It was something they found. So by finesse they gave it. The rest of Am Yisrael probably gave a lot less money, but they took from self and they gave it, and that's like very, very precious to Hashem. It involves all different areas of our avodas Hashem. All areas. Sometimes we see a lot. We see somebody learning crazy hours, and it's not to put down exaggerated things, but the deepest thing to Hashem is the person takes. There's a certain mesiras nefesh, if you will, a certain sincerity, a certain taking something that's precious to me, and I decided to put this here, that's precious to Hashem, so giving less. But a more sincere form of the giving is more precious to Hashem, to the point that the Nesiim gave millions of dollars. But it's less precious because it wasn't considered given from self. It was lacking that sincerity, that I want to part with this and give this to you, Hashem, and that gift, that means the most Hashem, that sincere space. Probably begeder lefum tzara agra, that has many ramifications in all different areas of avodas Hashem. The sincere space, the thought-out space of giving, that's so deep and so precious to Hashem, much more than more dramatic, glorious gifts. But you didn't part with anything. There was no mesiras stuff. You weren't attached to what you gave. There's a presentness, a certain, the goal of being attached. The rest of Am Yisrael gave less, and it was more precious. They were attached to what they gave. The Nesiim give more, and there's some sense of detachment from what they gave. They were nisatzel from their own avodah. Then Hashem makes them get some stones that they can give with their own stuff that they use on the daily. Their own stuff that they were deeply attached. That didn't go to Kodesh. That didn't go to Hashem, and that's considered some laziness, some atzlus of the Nesiim that I wanted to study. I told Yosef I would share this. So it's funny, it's not what I'm thinking right now, but I don't want to be a liar, that's for sure. And I told Yosef I would share this. So I want to share with the Chevra. I like Zach and Limadat Torah, and we've studied Torah. I love when we learn something that's exactly what we needed to hear. I love when that happens to me, when I'm learning a certain pasuk, a certain mishnah, a certain Gemara, and whoa, that's what I needed to hear. You feel Hashem's talking to us in Torah, and Hashem knows what we need to hear and when we need to hear. It's always geschmack when a piece of Torah is like, wow, that's what I needed to learn and when I needed to learn. I really appreciate when that happens to me. Others have told me similar things in their life. When I would go to a speech from my Rebbe, and he would talk about something that was dominating my mind, and I was like looking, is he like reading my, but it was Hashkachas Hashem. You're learning Torah by a Rebbe is like learning from Sinai, and in a weird number of times we'd learn by my Rebbe, and I would find, and friends had similar experiences. That's what I needed. I mamish needed to hear that. I had a Maaseh years ago in the Beis Medrash. Years ago, a guy surprised me, and he drove up to the Beis Medrash, going back before the high school, over 15 years ago. A guy drove up to Waterbury to speak. Now, I was saying a shir, and right after the shir, I had to go to New York. I don't remember if it was a chasna, I don't remember what the inyan was, but I had to go to New York right after. And the guy came in the middle of a speech. And he came to speak, and right after the shir, I was running late, and I had to leave. So after the shir, I saw him during the shir, and he said he came up to speak. I was like very ashamed. And I told him, I feel so badly, like, here I'm running out on you, and you came to speak. He said, you don't understand. He said, I mamish came. You told me exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you. Now, that's just in Torah as a special siyata d'shmaya. People are learning errands together. You find that things that are learned and things, there's a rhyme and a reason why you learn something, what you learn. There's a Maisa, a couple came to the Chavetz Chaim. This is the way I heard the story. Now, by the Chavetz Chaim, he had Ruach HaKodesh. But I'm not sure you need to say that's the pshat here. Because Stam in Torah, you find Torah is Hashem's talking to us. It makes sense when Hashem's talking to us. He probably says what we need to hear. So there was a couple had a big argument. He was very involved in certain stuckus, and she felt that it was too much. She wanted him to stop. She felt it was taking away from him, taking away from the family. They had some machlokes. Is the stuckus too much or not? A husband, they both agreed they're going to go present it to the Chavetz Chaim. Whatever he says, they'll follow. He'll be the court, and they'll present it to the Chavetz Chaim. And she was saying that all your chesed's taking away from the family, which could hear a taina. There's such a thing. This machlokes has happened, husband and wife in the world, other times in the world, and they went to the Chavetz Chaim. The Chavetz Chaim, while they were there, was benching, and then he finished benching, and he asked, I saw this, I remember the sefer, I saw it's a very reliable sefer, it's a true story. Chavetz Chaim said to them, that before you ask your question, they came to him, could I tell you a word first? And you're here. So they said, sure, tell me. So the Chavetz Chaim, you know the story, Ami? So if I'm saying it right. Who told you this, Maisa? I told you. So the Chavetz Chaim says to this couple that it says Ach Toiv Chesed Yer Defuni, a pasuk in Tillim we say by Shal Shudas Ach Toiv Chesed Yer Defuni Kol Yemei Chayai. Toiv and Chesed should chase me all the days of my life. So ask the Chavetz Chaim, the lashon of a roidev is a bad connotation. Chasing you is something that's like trying to hurt you. We say a roidev is like somebody who's trying to murder you is called a roidev. After you're defuni, should chase me. A funny lashon should chase me. It should be roidev for me. Roidev is you run away from a roidev. It's like a weird lashon. Ach toiv chesed should satisfy me my whole life. Should be my lot. Should chase me. Toiv and chesed should chase me. So the Chavetz Chaim said to this couple that he wonders that we have things in our life that are good things we're busy with. We're very, very busy with, but we feel it's roidei for us. We feel it doesn't allow us to do other things. It has a certain redifa to it. So he said, we think if we wouldn't be busy with that, if only I wouldn't have that chesed, that thing, then I'd be able to do what I need to. He said people stop and they find that they had certain gzeiros against them. So he said, we're davening, let it be toiv and chesed that's right of me. Let that the thing, you drop that, then the guy all of a sudden finds he has, let that be right if that even, and that's the Chavetz Chaim told this couple, the vert, who she was worried that the chesed they were involved in is like overwhelming them. The Chavetz Chaim told them this vert. Now, so you could say that was the Ruach HaKodesh of the Chavetz Chaim. It is, Rav Aaron Kotler said on the Chavetz Chaim, Ruach HaKodesh. But to me also, when a person learns, a person comes to learn Torah. Here the Chavetz Chaim was saying a word. Hashem's talking. Of course, it's still Ruach HaKodesh. Hashem was speaking through the Chavetz Chaim. But of course, the word was the right time, the right place. I say this, in the summer, we were Zeicha that Rav Geisler Shlita learned Torah with us this summer. It was a very beautiful summer. I was Zeicha to sit by a Rebbe and hear Torah. Now, totally based, I don't know if the guys remember, day one, he said, what do you want to talk about this summer? And somebody asked, Rav Aryeh Weiss asked him, could you speak about prayer? Could you speak about prayer? And Rav Weiss said, sure, and for 3 weeks he spoke about prayer. I just want to say a personal thing. Now, prayer is relevant to us all and always. So it's not like, oh my gosh, that's so incredible, what a great story, because then prayer was like, yeah, Allah, we all pray. I just want to express something that I feel. It's not an amazing, it's not a what a crazy nace. This year, being in Avelis, one of the areas that I'm trying to be stronger with is prayer. That's what an Avel davens for the Amud and tries to lead the prayers and be at prayers. And it's something that was very precious to my father and something that's always been hard for me. The organization, the timeliness. And it's been a year where that's been, and I can't believe it, that this summer, well before I knew anything, I was hearing about prayer. That means a lot to me. Now again, it's not a crazy story. Oh my gosh, prayer became important in your life. It's not a crazy story. Prayer is usually important. You pick prayer. I'm just saying practically that I really feel like the kindness of Hashem. To me, it mattered to me. A year that prayer became is like an important thing. And I've used things he's told me have mattered a lot. I wanted to share one of the things, like very short, to end with this, to close this, something that he said to us. He was talking about showing up to davening, a reality. I'm in Hashem's world. He was talking about not forcing. He said a guy comes to his wife to supper. You don't force a certain mood. He said it would like be, obviously, a nice attitude is always good, but you also show up. If a guy came to supper, he eats dinner with his wife, eat lunch with his wife, breakfast with his wife, eat them all with your wife one day, Zach, all three students, excellent. A guy shows up to a meal, it's like, how are you? And he's like a fool. She looks at him like, she wants you. I'm down, I'm sad and bad. Hashem, you try to come with energy, but she wants you to show up. He said by davening, show up to Hashem, I'm in your world. He said sometimes with a great mood, sometimes with a poor mood, but I'm just here, I refuse to ignore you. To supper, I'm here. I'm not ignoring you, Hashem. I'm here. He describes showing up, like really showing up. Showing up in different moods, different states, but I refuse to not show up to our relationship. I'm here, Hashem. I'm feeling it. I'm not. I heard this from Rev Geisler, and there was one of the captives' mother, this Hirsch Poland's mother, Hirsch Poland, Hashem Yimkum Damav. His mother described that she prayed 3 times a day, and somebody said it must be the unimaginable suffering, and she was makbid 3 prayers a day. She described that sometimes I show up, Hashem, you're not going to like this today. She'd be smoking mad at Hashem. She said, I show up to Hashem. She mamish said the same idea. And she would say, you're not going to like this today, Hashem. She'd come pretty angry, and of course Hashem loved that she showed up. I'm here, Hashem. So he said that it's a very cool machshav with prayer. Not just a machshav, it's actually a space to be in, that I'm here. I'm really here. I'm showing up to this. Different moods, different kufas, different energies. It would be weird if a guy's davening was like every day the same. Might be even weird. That's weird. You don't show up to supper every day the same. That would be to a wife, that would be a big turnoff. And to Hashem, but I'm here, Hashem. I'm here. Different states, different things on the mind, but I am here. In this relationship, I will show up. So I wanted to share that with the Chevra. I happen to appreciate it. It was so nice having Zach back, having Morty here, having Avi, Aaron, Yosef, joining the minyan. Shlomo, the minyan is elite. I love this minyan. It's probably the nicest minyan I've ever been part of in my life. The morning minyan. It's just a very beautiful Chevra. There's something very comfortable. The guys show up. We have Akiva, Eli Tress is the Gabbai, is a tremendous Gabbai. I like davening with Rai Brownston every morning. Every morning he's here. Rai Russ is here. Ramendi Katz is here. Rai Silverman is here. Just nice. Aaron, always Aaron, smileless. And we have a nice hearty chevra. Shloima comes. Michal pops, and it's just nice. It's something very unforced and comfortable. People show up to a davening. So I thank the Chevra for joining, for coming to the minyan. But I want to say that Ashkacha Lazi, that in the year that Tefillah became a sugma, that we were Zeicha the summer before a Rebbe showed up and specifically spoke a lot about Tefillah and many things that were very practical and very helpful. To me, I saw a tremendous hashkach on that, and I wanted to speak that out to the Chevra, because I love when things like that happen. It's very, very cool. It's cool in our own life to notice these things. A guy once came here and asked, like, you have a lot of stories. Like, I saw in my Rebbe, I think all of us have crazy amounts of stories. I think every human being, the Ashkachas Hashem, I think you either pay attention to your stories or you don't pay. We all have crazy stories. People are out to lunch. When you walk in, and Rav Charner says the exact thing you need to do. It's a crazy story. A crazy story. We all have crazy stories. We have crazy stories all the time, but I think we don't learn to pay attention. We discount. Maybe we're too busy with negative thoughts to see. Somebody says good morning to you and you needed that person right then. That's a crazy story. It's nuts. A guy comes to visit Imre, and it's like some guy comes from Fisher's that Shabbos. Mamish was a big pickup. That's crazy. We're not awake to things that Hashem is sending, that Hashem is exact. This year, Michal was in yeshiva. It's amazing. It's a crazy story. It didn't have to be. It made a big impact. Relly has brought it the whole year. I'm not saying like a psh, not that. It's a big story. It's crazy. Exact when we need. Who Shlomo goes, and Shlomo's married, Baruch Hashem, and then Relly comes, Yiddi, they gave tremendous, but like I see tremendous Ashkachas Hashem. We're sometimes so, our hearts are hard. We're not seeing like a story. We're not seeing what's happening. The Ashkachas Hashem, the incredible Ashkach, the kindness of Hashem. We're asleep at the wheel all the time. All the time we're asleep at the wheel to see. I've been zeicher to go around with Shlomo since Simchas Torah. We've gone to many places to sing, to encourage Yidden. Hey, Shlomo's here. Hey, put together Hashgachas Hashem, incredible. But he's sending, these are stories, these are crazy stories, much crazier than things we read. But we're shtickle asleep. We're asleep at the wheel to see Hashgachas Hashem, to feel it, to experience it. Why we don't see it? Good question, but maybe we're busy, our minds get distracted. But maybe if we could be awake to it, we would see nifludika things, amazing stuff that are really special. It's funny, we have a lot of guys dating. When you watch the sugi of shidduchim, you're like, your jaw drops. If you just watch, you just see who meets, how they meet. But Amechim Mitzadei Gavra, Hashem prepares the footsteps of man. I feel this a lot. I feel a lot when I visit the guys in Eretz Yisrael, and I see the different angels that guys find. And the different shidduchim, I'm also amazed at that. It's nuts. Guys, I see Hoodie's learning with Rev Reisner. It's like it's Hashem. It's different. That's not a normal. But I see these things. If there's a story, that's a story for the books. That's crazy. But I see this Shlomo constantly. But we don't open our eyes. Our eyes stay closed sometimes. We have to open our eyes and see it. Rabbi Brownstein and I go to Eretz Yisrael and we watch this, the different Yidden and Tzaddikim. And it's so exact. Some of the shidduchim, it's perfect. That how it happens. Had he and Shlomo was telling me, him and Rai Deitch, each thing, these things aren't pashut. Who decided what and when and where? You see tremendous exactness. The Meichen Mitzadei Gover takes us where we need to be, with whom we need to be. I welcome all the Chevra back home. It's delightful. What time, Rai Brownstein, what time is Mincha going to be today?
6:46 candle lighting, 7:04.
So 6:50. I do if somebody wants to make. I don't want people to make cheshbainis. We haven't been doing the Reb Johnny. I mean, you can. So just to cheshbon it right. I've been joining Rai Brownstein's minyan as the only minyan. Again, if somebody wants to make a later, b'kavod. But the minyan will take place 6:50, 6:55. And then Shki, you said the brick wall, Nachum, was when?
7:04.
7:04 is the brick wall. Have an outstanding day, guys. Good Erev Shabbos.
Jetzt, dass er noch was